Hi, I'm Michelle Olivier, and you're listening to Hey, I Want Your Job, the podcast that looks at amazing jobs and what it takes to get them. Welcome to Hey, I Want Your Job. And today I have Jamie Barlett, the pear, not the peach, with me. Jamie, what is your job title?
On paper, Miss Michelle, I am president and CEO of Polypay.
Which is always a sexy title. You got to love those three little letters that start with the C every time.
It's something about, like they say, it's C class. It's like if it's C class, somehow in your mind it's first class. I don't know where they equate that. I don't think so. I'm down in the trenches, so. Oh yes, thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
that
you're
sounds dead sweet, sexy.
yeah, your work, you know how to make the titles and whatnot sound good. So that's good. I like that C-suite for sure. So.
You know, in my work, actually, titles is really funny because my clients are always asking, well, what should we call this person? I'm like, here's the deal with titles. Titles are really damn cheap. If it's going to make them feel better for you to add a senior or a head or a VP, my friend, go nuts. Why
Yes.
do you care?
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, I remember when you talked about that. Absolutely. It's like if the person just likes their job and they're well taken care of and they want to put a, senior or a VP or a strategic in front of it, I totally agree.
Right on, right on. We hired somebody on our team not too long ago, and she was like, what's my job title? I was like, girlfriend, you're asking the wrong member of this team because I don't give a shit what you call yourself. Like, go nuts. You want to be the CEO? Go big.
Yeah. Right. We just hired another salesman for us, and I went hemming and hawing, and he was very kind. It's like, whatever you're thinking. I'm like, seriously, what do you like? Because I just like, as a business owner, you're like, I'm so out of brain cells sometimes. I'm just like, what comes to mind, So we did kind of a tete-a-tete and came up with something, but
what did you settle on?
So I'm curious from your world what you would think, because he kind of has a slightly different work than our VP of sales. And he has a lot more experience as well. So I went with, I'm waiting, you can be honest, strategic revenue executive.
That's very interesting. Is there a reason you
Or
didn't
you're
just
being
go with
politically
CRO?
astute.
No, is there a reason you didn't just go with CRO?
I thought about that too, again, going to your C-suite world, but
Yeah.
just because having a couple individuals that are sort of in the same vein, it's a bit interesting because our new sales team member, he is more senior in the terms of amount of experience in sales, yet my VP of sales has been here longer, but is also a bit younger. So it was kind of, I wanted everybody to have their own vein for some reason, but and then I always think people worry about, is VP better than you bring in the C-suite. So I just thought, hey, let's have everyone have their own little identity,
Jamie, was everybody happy with what you called them?
Super happy.
Then you did a fantastic job. Good job.
That was it. And off they went. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, everyone's happy. Yes.
So we know that you are officially head bitch in charge, that you're president, CEO, whatever. I do think I may change my title to head bitch in charge. Like, I feel like that's really probably the most accurate description of what I do. Heavy on the B word, but that's me. So we know that that's your role, but what is it you guys are doing where you're the head person in charge and where you're hiring new people, etc.? Tell us all about the organization.
So we are, what we do at Polypay is we do payment processing. So we help people, Michelle, any kind of business, whether you're in person, online, you're a mobile business, you're moving around, maybe you're a hairdresser, maybe you're a landscaper. We help facilitate so that they can take credit cards for payment. So if they're a store, a retail, a restaurant, anything truly you can think of, Michelle, we've had everything from horse vets to farriers to people that sell pipe to funeral homes. I mean, everybody's got to take a card for something. And I saw a niche. I never thought I would start a business, but when I was looking around to figure out what problem I wanted to solve, I had been in finance and tech for many years, and I saw that the payment processing industry is rife with some pretty awful people. They take advantage of a lot of businesses. Businesses aren't very well educated. They don't quite understand what they're signing up for. And I thought, boy, wouldn't that be a unique concept to just do the right thing and take care of your customer and make sure they're not getting ripped off. And if they have questions, you actually answer the phone. So turns out it's actually a model that works. So that's what we do here. And I kind of am, my joke is I'm HR, which I joke HR has been closed for years. Like accounting, I'm HR, accounting, complaint department. In fact, above my desk here, one of my team members made me a sign that says complaint department with an arrow that says 1,000 miles. So I'm kind of everything. I love it. I'm involved in everything, which I appreciate. And so we're a nice small team here in San Luis Obispo, California, but we also have a lot of referral partners and people that work with us throughout the U.S. And we also have a small office in Columbus, Ohio, as well. So I also live out there as well. So we have a little bit of a Midwest office too. So I go back and forth.
So, I mean, like, Columbus, Ohio is not one of the places you normally think of with a jet set lifestyle, but still, like, my other home is on the East Coast. I mean,
Right.
very,
Yes.
very bougie,
Yeah.
Jamie. Very bougie.
Yeah, I don't live on a yacht. I don't have a nice apartment in, the
Yet.
Boston waterfront, but I have a nice, happy home in Columbus, Ohio. I'm originally from the Midwest, so I'm, I guess one would call me a carpetbagger. I've been out here in California since college, but all of my family is back, mostly in Ohio. So I kind of wanted to get back to my roots there. So when I want a little bit of more quietness, I go back to the Midwest. When I'm ready for the absolute insanity that is California, I go back to California. So I go back and forth about every 3 weeks.
So you have a small business that works with a lot of people across the country. It's so interesting that in a time when more and more businesses are going fully online, fully remote, etc., you have an actual honest to God office. Are you the only one in the office? Does everybody have to work from the office?
No, I have we have, so I have a couple people in Columbus, and I have the rest of our team is here, and they are in person. So we've had an office through the pandemic as well. Michele, we were here. We were kind of classified, which I was thankful about, as one of those necessary businesses. So in terms of when it comes to financial transactions and businesses getting their money and getting help keeping up and running in this new world of operating, we were able to stay open, and I'm glad we did. And our team actually likes to come. Everyone comes in every day unless they're kind of out on sales calls or they're traveling, or I'm back in Columbus. We're all here every day and in person, and I really prefer that. And I know you've had some interesting conversations about working remote and not working remote, and I personally prefer it. There's even though in the truth of the matter, I'm an introvert hiding in the corner. There's something about being in person and working through issues and having discussions in person that there's just sort of that energy that I love. And it seems like the rest of our team feels that way too. So long answer to your question, but yeah, we're always here. We're in person. There's always at least a handful of us here in the office.
That's so interesting. And I think that, first of all, I think that you're not wrong on some things. And for all my bluster about how everybody needs to be 100% remote all the time, let me be clear. We just hired somebody and she is not remote. She is, for her training, here, boots on the ground with us, because we are not set up at our size of organization to be able to handle fully remote onboarding for what we do. Like, there's just something about being able to point at the screen and be like, click that.
Yes.
Or like hand somebody your laptop and be like, I don't know how to do this.
Yes.
And they can just
look at a face and say, help. Yeah. Yes.
And, we're hiring a second person, and it's the same thing, right? Like, they're training and onboarding. Now, once they're trained and onboarded, I don't give a shit after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fine. But I also think, we've talked about as a culture, and I'm really interested, it sounds like you and I are kind of aligned here, that my two business partners and I have all known each other for over 30 years. So anytime we're inviting somebody else into that mix, right, they start off back-footed a little bit, because it's like, everybody else is the cool kids and they have all the inside jokes that have been going for 20 years. And we don't want to be those kind of dicks, right? Like, we want them to feel part of the team and have a cohesive culture.
Yeah.
And to your point, like, getting to all be in the same place and have lunch together at the same table, or, like right now we're all working out together badly. So badly am I working out. So badly,
Lowercase W,
Jamie.
that's okay. Lowercase W.
Like,
As long as you think about it, I think you
we
get
have a
credit.
trainer. He comes. He does not embarrass me. I manage to embarrass myself. But like,
Well,
but
you're way ahead of me. I think about it a lot. I do. It's in my mind, and then execution's about 46% of the time. So
this is
you're
why
way
we just
ahead of me,
had
Michele. Yeah.
this is why we just had him come, because we were like, look, I'm never gonna do it if I don't just have somebody showing up with 2 bags of weights being like, let's do this, and it's
Yeah.
on my calendar. Like, I'm
Absolutely.
gonna have the
Absolutely.
best of intentions and the fattest ass ever, because that is how that's gonna go,
We
Jamie.
strive. That's right. We strive. But
Yeah.
in all honesty, that's such a very recent experience that I went through, because I've been fortunate enough. So our company's been around almost 10 years, Michele, but one of my most senior team members has been here almost 9 years. And my VP of sales has been here going on almost 6 years. So when we were talking about bringing in another individual that, as you talked about, having a good problem, being so busy, you need another set of hands, which that's anything anybody could hope for.
Yeah.
But there was a true, I love your phrase, if I may steal that, the back-footed aspect of it is, because you do have this, you don't want to have a mean girls moment, right? Where, you
Right.
can't sit with us, or whatever. Wednesdays we wear pink, or Mondays is coral, apparently for me. But that was a big thing. It's like, well, how is this going to go? This is, they had a set schedule when they went to lunch, and you said we have a ton of stupid inside jokes, and you're kind of like, is this person going to think that we're idiots? And it's like, why did I join this organization?
Or jerks, right? Because you're back to
Yes,
the mean girl thing. Like, that's huge, is
yeah,
you don't want that to be a thing, and you want to make sure that they feel welcomed and that
yes, yeah.
they're
And I've had
building those.
so many bad bosses in my life, and I don't regret them, because I think it almost makes it, I'm sure you would see it, Michele, heightened a concern. Like you said, is everyone happy? Do you feel like you don't want to be like a helicopter boss? You don't want to do any of this. Like, you want them to be happy. So I thank them wherever they are floating around in this world, because at least they showed me what not to do. And so that was a big concern too. Like, it had been quite a while since we'd hired another person, because we were handling, the burden pretty well. And yeah, it was a big concern. It took us several months to consider it. And we're, at the end of the day, they've been around for a few weeks now, and we couldn't have asked for anything better so far. I understand the world is in the honeymoon phase of, with hiring, but it's been fantastic. So I'm glad we overcame our concerns.
I totally agree. Say, like, our new person is amazing, and then we're just like, oh, thank God she's here. Like, it's so nice to have somebody that I could say, oh, there's this thing on my plate. Oh, wait, I do
Yes.
have someone I can give that to.
Yes.
Robin,
Yes. Oh,
take this.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait,
Catch.
we have a Robin now. She can
Yes.
do all the things.
Yes,
And do
exactly.
it with a smile. Great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So right now we hear a lot of doom and gloom from the media about where the market is, et cetera, et cetera. And like, is the world going to hell in a handbag, or is it like already there and we're just all trying to get parked? Like, like, how bad is it? And yet here you are, a small business owner who's like, actually, I'm hiring because my stuff is doing great. I don't know about you, but I'm terrified of that. I keep feeling like, am I missing something? Because my numbers say this is great. I don't want to hire somebody and then have to turn around and be like, just kidding. My forecast sheet was totally wrong. Bye,
Right.
Felicia.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, how are you handling that? How are you dealing with that? Where's your head on all that?
Yeah, that was something. I mean, we had been talking to this now team member probably since about April, and it was a very unique experience where they actually worked in an office very close to us, and they were actually walking. Then they'd been at that company for quite a long time, and they came along and they were actually walking by our building. I guess that they told me that they would walk by every day, actually, just in, again, someone being good with their health, fine, whatever. So they were walking by, and they finally just said one day they weren't happy at work, and they just finally said, I'm gonna, they sent me an email and wanted to know, are you hiring? I'm really curious. I saw your website. It looks interesting. What do you do? And so that was kind of how they came to us. So I thought, okay, initially I quelled my fears, Michele, by thinking maybe this is, and I'm one of those people that do believe. I'm very much hard and fast numbers, but I believe the other side of the word, well, obviously the universe is maybe trying to tell you something, like, you've been complaining about needing help and things like that. But I had, almost panic attacks about it, where I was kind of looking up at the ceiling at night and going, what have I done? I've just added another, it's like you get another child or something. It's like, oh my God, I just given birth to another child. What do I do? Is this going to be okay? But yeah, I looked at the numbers, and I still say, even for us through the pandemic, Michele, and that's what I love about this country. I mean, somehow the ingenuity still continued to, the ability for people to translate what they used to do into a new job, or step away from the corporate world and come up with something for that was such a tipping point. I think you'd agree with so many people that were in larger corporations or whatever. That was what it took to finally tell them, you know what, I think I can do this. And, in a time where there was so much lack of control, people felt like things were out of control. If they knew they could control what was going on under their own roof and start their own kind of business. So we truly saw an uptick throughout the pandemic, because not only did businesses figure out how to pivot, like restaurants and things, how to do contactless delivery with credit cards, to do curbside pickup, to turn their parking lot into another side of the restaurant. That's what I loved. I really saw the ingenuity of this country come through, and we're still experiencing that, even with the the stock market and things like that. I think people have said, we've lived through a pandemic, we can live through this. We've got to figure it out.
I love that. So talk to me about, I know what my lessons are from bad bosses, both ones that I used to work with and ones that I'm helping coach to not be bad bosses today. What are, as an owner, what are your like hard and fast, like I will nevers? And what
Oh,
are your I will always, in terms of being a good boss to your employees?
oh, absolutely. Gosh, so there's a handful, but I mean, having had bosses that would literally make me cry, I mean, that was I will never want to go through that again. So I think very much I let people figure out their own work style. This new team member that joined was kind of like, hey, I'm going to go out and just look for some leads. Is that okay? I'm like, hey, whatever works for you, because your work is going to benefit us as a company. However you want to work. I like, people have their own style, whatever makes them the most, makes them the best version of themselves. I could care less. However you want to work. Do you want to, your schedule doesn't matter to me. I like to have people in the office. So I have people that start earlier. I have people that start later, but they work later. I have some that love to work on the weekends too. I mean, that's what I love. So I always say, please do whatever style works best for you, because I know in the end, I'm going to get the best out of you, and therefore the company is also going to get the best out of you. And I think I always want people, if people have an issue, please tell me. I let things simmer so long, being so unhappy, Michele, because I was so terrified to voice my concern or ask anybody anything. I mean, I literally would have panic attacks on the way to work when I worked up in San Francisco, Michele, because I just knew what I was going to face, and I knew that I wasn't going to have somebody that was going to be there to support me. So I felt like I was completely by myself. So I vowed, no matter whatever, and then I wasn't in that mindset yet, to start a business. I vowed, if that ever happened, I didn't want anybody to ever feel like they were just, they were like Survivor Man here, just building their own tent and trying to make it between 8 and 5.
Yeah. And going along with that, for me, a big one is and I don't know about you, I am one of these people that, like, when you get those, when you're in a big company and they send out those emails, they're like, can employees please stop doing blah, 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 or a reminder to employees about the following procedure. I'm always like, oh my God, is this me? Did I do this and I forgot? Was that, like I always take that personally. Like, that's just me as a person.
Right.
And because I'm that kind of a human, I went into all of my reviews being like, oh my God, what are they going to beat me up about today that I don't remember that I did, that happened last month? And even when my reviews were good, I had that feeling. And I think, to me, as a hiring manager, or as a manager, one of my things is I want every employee in our company to always know at every single moment exactly where they stand. If you
Yes.
pissed me off and you're on my shit list, you're going to know.
Yeah. And let's
And
just
when you
get
do
through
it
it.
for, yeah, like, okay, you screwed up. Did you learn your lesson? Cool. You gonna do it again? Nope. All right, good talk. Let's go. Right?
Right.
Like I'm not mad about it 5 minutes later, but I want you to know, and we're gonna deal about it right now while it's live, instead of waiting 6 weeks to beat somebody up about it when they're like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do about it now? And at the flip side, I want to make sure that when they do something great, that I acknowledge that right now, today, so that you don't have to wait for your praise. You don't have to wait for the good
Oh,
or the bad. Like, to me, that's a really important one. And it feels like that's the same with you. How do you make that happen with people who all have the title exec? Because it's a lot harder with that than with people who are at a more administrative level where it's, it's easier to quantify and easier to give an attaboy or to do corrective action. How do you handle that with like your more senior stuff?
yeah, I think, it's funny, and they'd probably laugh and they'd agree with me. Like when I'm in the office, I sort of do like a round robin, Michelle, where I'm like, is everybody okay? Like, do you need anything from me? Like, I kind of do that a few times a day. Just because, again, I know if people get busy or if there's something that can take off of somebody's plate, I want to know that. Because sometimes, to use your head bitch phrase, Michelle, obviously if there's a more junior person in the company and they're trying to get answers on behalf of a customer or something with one of our partners, I always say, hey, do I need to send a bitch, do I need to turn the bitch switch on or something like that? Do I need, just because you have that title or whatever, it's like, hey, if that's what works to get something done, and somebody has to get an email from me that says, oh, the president and CEO is pissed off. If that's going to make life easier for our team, then I'm always happy to do that. But I always like to let people know, great day. I always like to talk about at the end of the week, how did we feel? How did we feel the week went? I even sometimes ask, like, if you had a word to describe the week this week, what would you say? I think last week was chaotic, and one said busy but good. So I mean, I always like to think I take a pulse for everybody, because everybody's window of work is completely different. But at the end of the day, I just want to know where they stand, because the worst thing you can do, right, Michelle, other than wasting money, is wasting somebody's time. And I know I wasted so much time not letting people know where I stand or where I felt. And I just don't want to do that, because if somebody's happy, right, you're going to get the best out of them. And then everybody's
Absolutely.
going to benefit. Everybody will benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I think that's so well said, that happy people are the best workers. They're the best representatives for your organization. Like, they're good business. It's also being a good human, but like they're
Yes.
also good business. And I think that it's so it's so interesting to me, like how much pushback, because I'm sure you've seen my LinkedIn and I am not subtle about the fact that I really believe that there is this old school mentality that employers are doing you a favor by giving you a job, and that your role is to be grateful for being employed. And I'm like, I call total bullshit, because they can't
Absolutely.
keep the lights on without you.
No, absolutely. And what they bring in terms of personality and experience. And I'm grateful, like when during a weekend or things like this, that happened this weekend. As always, like, I'll get a text from a team member or something, or they'll give me an update or a comment. They don't have to. It's technically, in the eyes of, of the world, it's their time off. But to know that they're still thinking and they're still concerned about customers. We had a customer that went live this weekend. They were a nonprofit. They had an event. So there was an all hands on deck concern, want to make sure that they were set up and everything was working fine. And the team here stayed in contact with the people over there, checked in, got updates, gave me updates. It's like, you can't ask for that. So if somebody's going to give you not only their best between Monday and Friday, and then also going to keep you updated on a weekend, whether it's a good or bad thing, I'm very grateful for that. Again, like you said, it's people's time. They, even if they love their work, weekend should mostly be sacrosanct. So, but if it's not, and they're still there and thinking about the good of the customer and of Polypay, I feel like I've struck the lottery then. And so I want to do anything I can to make sure that they're happy and that continues.
Yep. Yeah, super well said. I am very cognizant that I don't want um my employees feeling like they need to work on the weekends, etc. But I'm an HR person, right? So from a compliance perspective, not
Yeah.
exempt employees need to only work 40
Right.
hours or less.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
will say on that, and I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this as well. I My non-exempt employees, I do not give a shit if they work 20 hours or 40 hours. I don't care. My take on that is I hire you to do a job. It is worth the amount that I have set aside to pay you for me to have somebody do that job. And if you can do that job well in 20 hours a week, God bless you and carry on. If it takes you the full 40, that's okay too. I'm not going to pay more or less for
Right.
those differentiators, but I
Yes.
also just don't get hung up on, it Friday, it's 2:00 in the afternoon and you want to peace out. Cool. Are you done for the day? Then good talk, my friend. Now, the nature of our work makes that a little hard because some things come up because they have to be really responsive to candidate inquiries or like, hey, we need to get this person booked. Probably the same as you, right? Like you have a customer service call, it's got to get answered. If it's 4:58 on a Friday, somebody's got to answer that call. But as
Yeah.
long as they have some kind of a mechanism for doing that, I don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, not,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know,
No, and Fridays we leave an hour early on Fridays anyway, because it's kind of one of those things. Fridays, everybody kind of has that. It's like having a case of senioritis, right? Everyone's like, all right, we're almost there anyway. So, and usually Fridays are pretty quiet. And like you said, I laugh when you said that because we've literally gotten calls at like 4:58 where a customer's like, my terminal doesn't work. You're like, all right, this is going to be a while. So you kind of go, okay, you grin and bear it, and and grit your teeth, and you have to deal with it. But that's that's what you have to do. But yeah, absolutely, I could care less either. It's whatever gets done. Everyone has a different style. I'm weird. Sometimes it's like my mind isn't working during the day the best. Sometimes I like working late at night. I mean, it's whatever works.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's really, to me, that's one of the big differences about a healthy modern working place, right? Is that a lot of these old impressions of, you have to be here for, I pay you for 8 hours a day and by God, I'm getting it. No, stop.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you stay here till you get your gold watch, and that's it. And like you said, and be thankful, and clock in and clock out, and do your Flintstones move, and off you take off in the parking lot, and you're
yeah.
welcome.
So on that note about the Flintstones move, have you heard about this silent quitting thing, quiet quitting thing before yet? Oh girl, let me tell you.
Do tell, do tell.
Wow, my friend. This is all the buzz. This is the new, like, what have we been through now? The great resignation, the great whatever, 5 different iterations of, well, the new one is quiet quitting.
Okay.
And the idea is that people don't quit their jobs, but they quit putting in the 110%. They come in, they do their job, and they go home. And I'm like, I don't feel like that's quietly quitting. I feel like that's doing your job and then going home. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I
find,
think I had lots of unhappy friends in work that did that same thing, and I guess I wouldn't. I mean, it's because I thought you were going to go somewhere. It's almost like you're ghosting your job, sort of in that aspect.
no.
But they're still there physically. But I guess you're
Yep.
just saying not in heart or not mentally. Then
But
okay,
I also
so
think
you're
like,
just a husk at a desk.
but I feel like that's okay. Like some jobs require you to turn up mind, body, and soul, right? So for you and I, the face of our organizations, we couldn't dial it in. That's not going to be a thing. There are other roles within other companies where I literally, like, there's a set list of duties. And if you're excited to do those duties or not, as long as you do them well, who the hell cares?
Right, right.
And I think that, as 2 women entrepreneurs here, there are a lot of downsides to the hustle. Like a
Oh yes,
long
oh
list
yes,
of
yes.
downsides, Jamie.
Oh for sure.
There are, and I don't, in your work, it's a little bit different than mine. In my work as a consultant, very regularly, I have clients who are like, I should just hire you and then you will be mine and all mine forever. And I'm like, no.
That's a no. That's a no. Yeah.
But there are days where I'm like, why is nobody trying to hire my ass today? Because today I would say, yes, sign me up. You're going to pay my benefits, take all the risk for my financial future. I'm going to get like to take days off and
Oh,
nobody's
yeah.
going to be upset, yes, yes. Sign me up for my W-2 right now, today, big discount.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Just, yeah. Let me punch in, like I said, and punch out, and that's it.
Yes,
And I only have
sign
to
me
worry
up.
about one person, and that's it, and I can go. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, so I have no judgment for people who want out of the hustle life. Like, absolutely. God bless y'all.
Yeah,
Probably
people that
if
like a certain schedule, they're one of like they'll be doing the same thing for 20 years from now. If that, if that's what, if that's where you love and you're happy, who cares?
my husband has a job working for a big company, I would hate it, but he likes it. And you know what? His check clears every month, Jamie. Every month. He gets
Most
sick.
important part. All right.
There you go. He gets sick. He takes days off. Nobody's lighting up his phone. Nobody else's paycheck is not going to get paid because he's off.
Right.
Whereas when you're the face of the company,
Right.
right?
Lights got to stay on, all of that. Yep. Yeah.
Right? Right? This is never his problem. He just
No.
lays in bed and feels sick and not guilty.
Right. Yeah.
Total
Paid
bullshit.
man flu. Yeah.
But so I think that that's like, I completely understand why that would be anybody's choice. And I have no judgment about it. And it is so interesting to me that this is the latest thing that, I mean, media getting riled up about something, whatever, like that's just day ending and why. But that employers are getting riled up about this. Like, I don't want my people just to me. Like, well, if you want them to do more than they're doing now, you should probably pay them.
Or, talk to them or ask them or, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, so where was that coming from specifically, Michelle? Like
It's
what part
everywhere.
of the
Like
world or
there's
industry was it, industry, or where was it coming from?
it's one of there's all these articles that got published about it in, like, Forbes and the Economist, and it's all over LinkedIn. It's just one of those, like, it's the latest trend. And I just think that they're just being people. Like, they're the same people that have always been there. And I just think, that there has
You think it's just
become,
companies saying, why aren't you telling me I'm the prettiest and the best, and you're so lucky to be with me, kind of thing?
I
They're
think
missing their corporate praise.
that that's exactly what it is. And I like that they're corporate praise. Oh, I'm totally stealing that one.
Right,
But
we
yeah,
swap back-footed for that. There we go.
there we go. Now we're even. But yeah,
Hmm.
I feel like, that's like that there is this mentality. Like, I have managers who are like, well, we're going to need them to do this, 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 and this. I was like, no, that's abusive. Well, when I was applying for jobs, and does this look like
Right.
1996 to you?
Right. What was it? What's that line? I walked to school in the snow. What was it? 10 miles one way and 11 back. And I had one
Yeah,
shoe, and that shoe had a hole in it wherever Dana Carvey is. Right. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Yes. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, I don't understand the fact that you got abused. Why does that mean it's okay for us to abuse the next generation? Surely it means that we know better.
Right. Yeah. Or we're doomed to repeat. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I totally, yeah. And I think you're right. It's the corporate praise. They're like, but I got here and now I want people to be excited to work for me. And they will if you're not a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. If you just take a minute and step outside yourself and, walk the floor and take it, take the heartbeat of the company and see what's going on, then you'll know.
Yeah, exactly. So you are a woman leader in both technology and finance. And I don't know if you had noticed, but there aren't a lot of them.
Yes, what's that word? There is a dearth. Yes, I will say that there is definitely a dearth for sure of that, which is intriguing. And this was not my sector in the least at all, Michelle. So I am, at my core, I am an English and an economics major. So I spent part of my college years sitting under a tree reading Shakespeare, and then the other side was, all right, doing that graph of X and Y with butter and guns and all of that, and trying to figure it out. So, and both departments thought I was a sellout, so it was like living two worlds. And then I thought, how did I end up here? So I guess this was the amalgamation of that, of where I started from in college.
Every part of my liberal arts Hart loves that story, Jamie. International law and Russian with a minor in comparative lit
Oh my gosh, I love that.
and a
That's
master's
sweet.
in queer theory. So I have all of the degrees and want fries with that.
Wow. Oh wait, I'm digesting that. Okay. Ah, wow. Yes. Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I love that.
Again, lots of sitting under trees, thinking deep thoughts and discussing them in
Yes.
Russian. Um,
Yes.
but that's actually not as saleable as it feels like it might be when you're 20, you know?
Yeah, yes. You're like, oh, I'm going to change this. I remember took like a women's 17th century women's writers and literature class, and I think there were 4 people in it. I was like, wow, they found 4 of us. That's impressive. I
Sweet.
was like, yeah, that's great.
The big
So
tip
yeah,
of the spear. Here we go.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna change the world. Okay, James, just sit down, relax. All right, just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
highlight your text and yeah, we'll go write a paper. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
So, as a woman in this space, when you're going out and networking with other people, first of all, Jamie is one of those names that can be either man or a woman. How often do you
Oh,
walk in and they're like, it's got boobs?
yeah.
Did anybody see boobs coming? How
Men are
often do
men.
you have that?
Oh God, 95% of the time. Yeah, 95% of the
How do
time.
you
Just
deal
and I
with
got
it?
that my whole life with because I was named after my dad. So I
I love
I
that.
I got that my whole life, and it's even spelled the what when one not that that matters anymore, like the masculine way. At least it was spelled that way. So all the time. So, but I found that fascinating because it was almost like you got a bit of an edge. You kind of got to hide behind the curtain, kind of a Wizard of Oz the kind of thing moment where you're like having these initial conversations and no one's quite sure. And this was before there was a LinkedIn or things like that that was very prevalent. So, it was fun to kind of play with that. And so, yeah, I always got a lot of Mister in this, and I'm like, no, he's deceased, but I'm here, and they kind of say, wait a minute, take a beat, and come back, kind of thing. So it was kind of fun to have an initial discovery conversation that the other party wasn't quite aware of, and then kind of when you make your debut, they're like, okay, all right, and so you see kind of the recomposure there, and then like a reset, and then I'm like, all right, now they're ready. Okay, they're ready now. Okay, got it. They took a beat. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, do you get offended? I would be
No,
offended.
no, I think I've experienced. I think it's fascinating. I just think it's funny because it's just sort of, if anything, it gives you a bit of an edge into how that future conversation is going to go. Because I've had some where people are like, "Oh, interesting, okay," and then others where there's definitely a hesitation. Certainly in certain markets that I've tried to pursue, where there's a bit more of an old boy or an old school network to it than some. Um,
Mhm.
Not as prevalent, I think, anymore in this day and age of a lot of small businesses and other entrepreneurs coming up. But I mean, years back when I was sort of talking to different industries or trying to join certain networking things, and then you kind of just sort of show up and they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to tick that box now, aren't we? Sort of thing. And I used to play it as a, hey, I'm helping you out on the billboard here. You can add another W to the line of things here. Whatever floats your boat. I'm not here for that designation, but I'm here to network.
I love how totally zen you are with that. In terms of the things are changing, girl, you should come to Texas because let me tell you,
I
things
love
aren't
well, it's
changing as
not so
fast.
much. Yeah, it's not so much today, but I love Texas. In high school, I got biggest hair, so I know everything's bigger in Texas. So I know I would feel welcome over there. It's not as we talked about. It's Monday. It's not a great day, but normally it's in my high school yearbook, Michelle. I got biggest
Oh,
hair,
dear
and
God.
most unique clothing. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So definitely, and I went to high school in St. Louis, Missouri, so kind of south adjacent, but not
Okay.
quite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Missouri is like
it
one of
was
those states. They think they're
yeah,
from the South, and we're like, y'all need to get better at
yes.
geography.
Yeah, there's definitely a fight there where I would say, because then they're like, well, the closer you got to Kansas City, they're like, oh, it's the South. I was like, oh, no, no, no. Having family in Mississippi, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's no, 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 you're way off. No.
Not even close, guys. But A for
Yeah,
effort. A for effort.
yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So, I mean, for me, right, I walk in and not only am I a woman, but I'm the HR bitch, right? Because that's what I do. And so like, oh, HR's here. Now nobody can have any fun. And then like the moment I drop an F-bomb, they're like, oh shit, maybe she's all right. Y'all, just because I can drop an F-bomb does not make it okay to slap my ass or to make rude jokes in front of me. Like, come on
Yes.
now. Come on.
Yes. Yes.
And I just like, I really hate, and this may be a regional thing, but I find that at those like networking groups and that sort of thing, I have had so much of people testing me out. I mean, like my 5-year-old does to me, Jamie, except they grown ass men, where they're like, oh, well, we're going to make this joke and see if, and like you can see them like out of the corner of their eye checking to see if I laugh or if I'm okay with it. And then like the next joke's like the next step further. And like they're clearly seeing how far they can push it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
how about you just be yourself? And if you offend me, I will tell you. Why, like, or maybe be a grown up and say, hey, before I offend you, can I ask where you fall on whatever continuum you would think it is?
Right.
Like, if you want
Right.
to tell a dirty joke, I'm probably not going to be offended. If you want to tell a racist joke, I promise you I am going to be offended. And that's not because I have lady parts. It's just because I'm not an
Right.
asshole. Like,
Yeah. And you have your HR hat on, Michele, too. So
but it's
that's
also like just life, you know, like even if I wasn't in HR,
yeah. It's
in
like you
20,
got to start somewhere at least. I don't mind if we devolve into office jokes and all other things like that, but at least you got to start off on that. Everybody's on their best behavior, and then if you hit it off, then you can go down that rabbit hole.
yeah, but oh yeah, I'm just impressed that you managed to. It sounds like navigate it more gracefully than I do, because I just get mad and then I'm just like, screw it.
Well, I'm not saying that my internal monologue isn't going off in all sorts of ways, and if I'm feeling more comfortable, I will certainly, I'll say, hey, I didn't know you were on tour here, buddy. Okay, that's great. Where do I get tickets? I mean, it's,
I think the problem is
every instance is different.
I think the problem is I have no internal monologue. Like it's just a 1-to-1 in my brain, out my mouth. Like,
But don't
oh,
you think once you hang up your own shingle, right, Michele, you're like, you know what? I'm going to take that as my right now. It's like when you've held your tongue so many times, you're like, yeah, that's going to be one of my things where it's like, yeah, I'm going to let you know what I think.
yeah, absolutely. And I think, you're right. Like I'm at a point in my life where that's very much, I get people who give me a hard time about my LinkedIn profile with my Black Lives Matter mask. I'm like, I just figured I'd save us both some time, bruh. If that's going to be a deal breaker for you, then we should not work together, because your attitude's going to be a deal breaker for me. True fact.
Yeah, that's great. Frankly, you're just saving people time, right? I mean, and yourself time. There you go.
Yes.
So just self-select out, opt out. Thanks very much.
Right.
Yeah. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Keep moving.
And I've just, I've had so many jobs of back to the, bad bosses where I have been told, you're so competent. You're just not as nice as we would like. I'm like, what? I am never nice. If I am, it's entirely by accident.
Right. So just chalk that up as a, hey, what a day. But yeah, right. I mean, you're here to do your job, and that's it. I mean, I think people, like you said, with using the corporate praise phrase again, I think people think that you're supposed to be in love with your work environment or whatever. It's like you're here to execute and bring your best self, and then people seem to forget that people have another world. It's like, all right, and then they're gonna clock out, and there's another whole part to their life, and it's like people in industry don't seem to think that that's the case. It's like, or that they're not due that other side of their life for some reason.
Absolutely. Like I really object to the whole, our company is a family. No, we're not. I do not pay my family to spend time with me. Lord, no. I might pay them to not, Jamie, sometimes. Right. Like we're there.
I can see that. That's a good model. Yeah.
But in general, like I don't have to pay my family to come around my house or to hang out with me. My family also does not contribute to my business or my means of, like they're not the same. And I really hate when companies say that, because I'm like, what that does is it gives you a blank check for behaving badly.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, Because we are all assholes to our family, because we can be, because they're our family.
Yes.
It'll
And
get to
we're
go
human.
away.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, we're human, for God's sake. Yeah,
right? My
exactly.
poor husband takes all of my bullshit at the end of the day. The other day I yelled at him and he was like, "Why are you yelling at me?" Because I had a bad day and I can't yell at my clients
That's right.
because I
Yep.
need
So
them to pay
unfortunately, I'm
me.
in front of you. Yeah, you're
The
the
dogs ran away when I tried to yell at them. You're the last man standing.
yeah, that's it. Just stay a second. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's so interesting to me that not only does that keep happening, but I do find this very much on gender lines. I have never I have I cannot remember, and it may have happened, but I cannot remember having to correct a woman
Mm,
about we are not a family. It is
interesting.
always men that I find that they say that. And I think part of that is women experience family very differently.
Yes.
We
Oh gosh,
experience
yeah.
a lot more of that unpaid burden, right? And so we're
Yes.
like, I'm
And
not
just
putting
to,
that
yeah,
on somebody. No.
yeah, yeah, and just going ahead and taking it, just adding it to your pack, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah, absolutely. Just adding it to another part of your Atlas life here, holding things up.
It's fine. Just
Hmm.
throw in the more balls. How many? I can just juggle all day long. We're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Throw it on.
Hmm.
Why not?
Hmm.
Sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. But I think that that's very telling that that is one of those, and I think that that men tend to be have that huge blind sight way more than women in business do. And I think that one of my favorite things about, to your point earlier, that since 2020 we've seen a rise of small businesses. We've seen people finding new ways to make a living that break those old molds. That means we're seeing more and more women in positions of authority than we have
Oh, for sure.
before. And I think that like that's a big departure from that, right? That we were like, no.
For sure. I would, and to add, I think that's the case. And I think what I have experienced the last couple of years, Michelle, is now my problem is, when there was women's networking groups and there was a handful here and there weren't very much. And, now there seems like there are a bit more, but I don't know how the best way to categorize it, but some of the ones that I go to, Michelle, I almost think I was like, when I go in the subject matter, whatever they're talking about, I go, is this a joke? Like it's so light on kind of doing better for your business. It's sometimes it feels so superficial. Some of the topics that we cover, I just feel like I've wasted my time. And so then my concern is, I decide not to go to some of those events anymore because I just feel like your own time is so important enough that you step away for an hour, hour and a half. Some of them, I just think it's almost like this glorified, just sort of gossip, kitschy, which I appreciate that, but there's a time and place for those kind of events, right, Michelle? It's like if you're coming out during some time between the week, Monday through Friday, and you want to have this hard-hitting conversation, it's almost like the women's side of that gets a bit offended if you bring that up. And I thought, wait, I thought we were talking about business and things. I'm like, is this supposed to be a safe place? I don't know if you've run into that, Michelle. It's like some of these
Totally.
networking entities I go to, it's like they don't know what they want to be. Like they tell you they're one thing, and so when you come there, and I'm very much, I think I'm going to guess maybe you're like that, Michelle, just slightly. Don't waste my time. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm looking for. If this isn't the case, I'm going to exit stage left. And I've gone to some of these events, and they're just like these silly luncheons where the subject matter is such fluff. I go, if I wanted to do this as a joke over the weekend, maybe, but my time is critical. Why am I here? And then they get
Yeah.
upset when you don't decide to come. Oh, aren't you going to re-up, or aren't you going to go to our next lunch? And I go, I'm not going to waste an hour and a half for a bad overpriced lunch and not get anywhere. I'm sorry. It's like you have to apologize for why you supposedly thought you were coming there in the first place.
I had a group like that was here in the Austin area for women in business. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And
Yeah.
I joined up, and their first big event they sent me was a rose all day themed event. Yeah, exactly. And it was at some place, and they're like, oh, and this person who is a photographer will be there, and she'll do your headshots and make sure you wear your makeup. Like,
What is this, school picture day? What is this?
Yes. And I
Yeah.
was just like, where are the topics? And then I started looking through their events and it was all that kind of crap. And I'm like, look,
Yeah.
if y'all want to have an event on how women in business can support each other in business, and you want to talk to me about working with you with your HR, which y'all, by the way, clearly fucking need if you think this is good, or like you're recruiting, that sort of thing, great. Let's have that. I will do that presentation for you all day long. I do it for other groups that are not women specific, but I totally agree with you that there is so much of this fluff, and
It's
I
insulting.
hate
It's
it is,
insulting.
and it's
I
done
feel
by
like it's
women to
Stepford.
women.
Yeah, I feel like
Yes.
we're Stepford wiving ourselves. And I can't believe you mentioned the rosé thing. That was one of my first events I went to. They had this lunch, and I was like, all right, I got to think about if I do this again. And it was 1:30 on a Friday, and they'd finished the event, and the gal came over to me. She said, oh, we're all going over because, in San Luis Obispo, there's a bunch of lovely wineries. She said, oh, we're all going over now for a happy hour. I'm like, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. She's like, yeah, I said, I got to go back to work. And she was kind of like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I have team members and things to get done, and it's the end of the week. So I appreciate you sucking off an hour and a half of my time and wasting it. I'm going to cut my losses and leave. I mean, it was just, and I don't get it when you go to these events, Michele, and like you're handing out business cards and you're trying to talk to people, and then they get offended. I go, why are we here? No offense, I don't need any more friends right now. I'm actually looking for, hey, maybe I can help someone, maybe they can help me. Why is that so wrong? Why is that so taboo?
Yeah, I totally agree. And like I am the least like hard-hitting salesperson. I try not to sell as much as I try to sell, because I really think that a huge part of what I do in particular is about building connections for people, right? So like the pipe, helping people have better connections for hiring or for good practice, like just making those connections between people. If you never hire me, I don't care. Like I want to help people be better employers and give better experience to their employees. And so great. And so same as you, right? I'm there and I'm like, hey, cool, let's talk. Like, what do you do? How can I help? What's going on? And people are like,
yeah,
what?
I
Did I
don't get it.
misread the signs? Like, why are we here?
It says
I have
networking.
friends.
Say it with me now. Networking.
I'm also a massive introvert. So I didn't want to be here in the first place. I have dogs at home that I could be with, or children, whatever, depending on level of like self-loathing today.
Thank you. I'm just I'm just still waiting to find. I found a few organizations, Michele, that are better than ones I've gone to, but there's definitely some national associations that I've tried to dip into, and it's just, you just feel disappointed. It's like going back after having a bad date. You're going back for another one, and it's like, all right, maybe it's me. And then you go, you know what? No, it isn't me. I'm trying to move forward. If someone out there, and I'm putting that as a plea on your platform, if someone has great networking associations where it's actually about networking, and someone can come in and not get a stink face from somebody by saying, hey, this is what I do, I'm proud at what I do, I know I'm good at it, I know I can make a difference, I'd love to know what you do, maybe we can work together. Is that so dirty? I don't understand.
I'm in. And if that doesn't work, maybe we should just start like a national networking and best practice for women in business who just really want to be in business and not talk about rosé. Like if y'all want to have a social club, go make a social club.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
maybe
join
we
social
do
clubs.
something like the 3 B's, Michele, like bitches, bonding, and business or something. Something like that. Something. Just don't want to, and you can't insult me. I'm fine. If you don't want to work with me, that's great. Are you kidding me? I mean, my own mother, bless her heart, used to, tease me enough. It's like, I got it. I'm okay. You're not going to hurt me. But worst thing you can do is waste my time.
Yep. I have a shirt that says I'm not for everyone. Absolutely. I have no interest in trying to be for everyone.
No.
I know my niche. I'm good.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be over here. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I just like you, right? I just lean into it. I have crazy hair, blue lipstick, and visible tats. If that's not your jam, that's cool. You should find someone else.
Yeah, life's too short. Sorry. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. There's enough people for whom this is their jam, then I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
If the day
Exactly.
comes that there's not, I'll have to reevaluate that, won't I?
Right.
But today is
Right.
not that day, friend.
That's right. Yeah. And I am not that person. So yes, exactly.
I can't believe this. We are over time. But we have also solved a major world problem by starting the triple Bs, right?
I think so. I
I'm
absolutely.
excited.
Yeah.
Bitches
Three
bonding over
B.
business.
B3,
Yes.
yeah. 3B, B3.
Title and
Absolutely.
process. Title and process. We'll work on it. But I'm here.
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
a couple of really good folks that would probably be happy to join us.
I
Dawn
like it.
Sizer, I'm thinking of you. Right?
I like
Absolutely. So yeah. What did I forget to ask you that I should have done, Jamie?
No, I think, again, I'm going to be in what we talked about. I love what I do. I think there's that stupid comment about, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. But I love what I do. I love what our Polypay does. We love helping people. I know we can make a difference. I know and I don't feel bad saying I know we're damn good at it, and I'm proud of that. And so if anybody wants our help at all, love that. I love networking. If people would love to reach out to me and chat, I think that would be great. And if I can be of help to anyone, I think there's also a dearth of mentors in this world. So I would love to do that. And I'd love if people would like to be referral advocates for us, because you can benefit from helping other businesses and making sure that they're being well taken care of. And then in exchange for that, I always believe if you're helping somebody else, you should get it. So we also do a ongoing revenue share for people that send business our way, because if we benefit, they should too.
Nice.
And all of that's on the website.
Fantastic. And all of those links are in the show notes. So Jamie, thank you so much. This was amazing. I loved it.
Thank you, Michele. I appreciate it. It was a great way to kick off the week. So thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome. Bye. You've been listening to Hey, I Want Your Job. For more information on how you can get your own awesome job, visit ONH Consulting at www.onhconsulting.com. We offer incredible resumes, no-nonsense career advice, and real-world tips for landing a job in today's market. Check us out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Insta for more insider information. Soon, you'll be hearing us say, I'm Michele Olivier, and hey, I want your job.